As we continue to grapple with the senseless tragedy coming out of Fort Hood, I want to pay tribute to a great American hero. Retired U.S. Navy Rear Admiral and former U.S. Senator Jeremiah Denton. He passed away on March 28th from heart complications in Virginia, surrounded by his family. He was 89 years old. Admiral Denton was shot down by the North Vietnamese in 1965, and he spent nearly 8 years in the notorious Hanoi Hilton prison, 4 of those years in solitary. He famously blinked the word torture in Morse code during an orchestrated propaganda interview in 1966. It was the first confirmation the U.S. had that our prisoners were being tortured. Denton exemplified the bravery, heroism, and sacrifice shown by American POWs throughout the Vietnam War. He joined me a few years ago to talk about his experience, what being a soldier meant to him, and the faith that was instrumental to his survival while in captivity.
It got pretty hopeless. I couldn't think, I couldn't pray anymore, and I said to God, it's not easy to say, expressed with my whole being, I can't think of anything else to pray. I can't think of any recited prayers. I can't think of any spontaneous prayers. I'm in a desperate situation. If anything happens good out of this, it's going to be yours. You got it. You got me. You got everything about me. The instant I said that, I had been going through alternating periods of feeling heat and feeling chills. I was shaking at that time, and you could hear my chains around the camp. And the instant I willed that, it was like a blanket of warmth, just a whole aura of composure, of no pain. The pain was immediate release, which was in my back. That was the principal part of the pain. And I just went from fear, anxiety, almost an unendurable pain, to complete comfort and assurance and no fear. A few minutes later, the guard came in. The camp commander himself came, a guy we call the Lump. He was a pretty senior guy. He came with the 2 guards and told him to go in there and break Denton. Break his legs if you have to, but break him. And he was screaming. He was screaming at them. They came in, and one of the boys was about 19 years old, pretty good kid. We called him Smiley. He did his duty. He tortured, but I don't think he liked it. At any rate, he and the other guards started pulling on his pulley, and I just looked at Smiley with a smile, expressing what was in me. I don't hurt. You're not going to break me, and you're not a bad guy. How can you do this to another human being? His face broke, contorted, tears. He yanked the other guard off the pulley and went outside and started screaming at the camp commander. He wasn't going to do that anymore. They're going to have to find somebody else. And 20 minutes later, they came in and put sulfa on my open wounds, released the rig, and carried me out to an isolated place where I supposedly couldn't tell the other guys I hadn't given in.
As an outgrowth of your faith and this conviction and this understanding of freedom, when given the opportunity to go before the cameras and during your interrogation as a POW, you did something extraordinary, and I have tape of that. I want you to look at this and tell me what you're doing here.
Well, 3 days ago, they hit me for confession. I'd been tortured unconscious a number of times. I gave them what I hope was a not credible confession. Then they told me, set me up on the top of 2 stools placed on top of each other, and told me they were going to do this to me, have me interviewed, and I was to condemn my government.
Right.
But
the blinking there.
Reisner and I, Reisner and I prayed about what I should do. Should I just refuse to go to the interview or go and try to blow it up? And the chances of that working were 1,000,000 to 1, because I go there and I defy them, and then they burn the tape and torture me some more. But I decided to try that, okay? And I got there, and they entered the room, and as they came in, there were these lights like that, and I said, in case they change the words that I intend to say, I'm going to blink the word torture to prove that they at least had to torture me to get me here. And then when he asked me the questions, they asked me twice, the key sentence being, what do you think of the policy of your government in Vietnam? The first time I said, I don't know what the policy of my government is, because the only sources of news I have are North Vietnamese. But whatever the policy of my government is, I support it, and I will support it as long as I live. They asked me another time, and I said, the same thing about, I don't know what the policy is now, but whatever, but I am a member of that government, and it is my job to support it, and I will support it as long as I live. Well, I thought when they dragged me out of there that nobody was ever going to see that, and I was going to get hurt pretty bad. I was hurt pretty bad, the worst torture I ever got after that. But by the grace of God, that Japanese photographer who had been having such interviews and taping tortured confessions knew he had a big scoop. He sneaked out of Hanoi that night, went back to Tokyo and auctioned it off. The first bidder was ABC for 50 grand. And I didn't learn until 3 days before I was released that a lot of people had seen it.
Right, and Navy intelligence
read. I was so
read
grateful
torture
to God.
there.
That was the most great. Yeah, they read the torture, but I believe they knew guys were already being tortured by the fact that some were confession. I was not proud of that. I was proud that I defied them. That's what, when the Navy gave me the tape of that, they said Denton not only blinked the word torture, he defied the North Vietnamese. I'm glad God gave me the grace to do that.
Now, once you and your fellow POWs were liberated, you were chosen to speak on their behalf. Here's what you had to say.
No, I wasn't chosen. I was a senior officer on the first plane to land. That's why I spoke.
Here's what you had to say on February 12th, 1972, when you arrived at Clark Air Force Base.
1973. I got that wrong in the tape. It's 1973.
We've had the opportunity to save our country under difficult circumstances. We are profoundly grateful to our Commander-in-Chief and to our nation for this day. God bless America. God bless America.
Admiral Denton, what should people know? What should they take from this experience you went through?
Well, again, let's go to veterans. Lexington and Concord, the Battle of New Orleans, Chateau Thierry, D-Day, Korea, Vietnam, the Gulf War, Kosovo. Remember, it is the soldier and the sailor, not the reporter, who has given us freedom of the press. It is the soldier and the sailor, not the poet, who has given us freedom of speech. It is the soldier and the sailor, not the campus organizer, who has given us the freedom to demonstrate. It is the soldier and the sailor who salutes the flag, who serves beneath the flag, whose coffin is draped by the flag, who allows the protester to burn the flag. They better count those votes.
Admiral Jeremiah Denton, a true hero in a world sorely lacking for them. He will certainly be missed. May he rest in peace.